Europe, a continent steeped in history and culture, is witnessing a quiet yet profound crisis. 10 countries, each with a unique story, are facing a shocking decline, one that could reshape the future of the continent. But why are these nations dying so quickly? What are the reasons behind this drastic change? Let's delve into the story of Europe's 10 fastest dying countries, uncovering the shocking reasons behind their decline. 10. Bulgaria, the shadow of emigration. Did you know that Bulgaria is losing its people at an alarming rate? Why is this happening to a country with such a rich history? Since the fall of communism in 1989, Bulgaria has been bleeding its population and the wound doesn't seem to heal. Between 1989 and 2023, Bulgaria's population shrank from nearly 9 million to just over 6.5 million, a loss of more than 25% in just a few decades. But what is driving this exodus? The answer lies in emigration and a plummeting birth rate. Young Bulgarians, disillusioned by the lack of opportunities at home, are fleeing to Western Europe in search of better jobs and a brighter future. In fact, Bulgaria has one of the highest emigration rates in the world, with over 2 million Bulgarians living abroad. The birth rate, meanwhile, has fallen to just 1.5 children per woman, well below the replacement rate needed to sustain the population. But here's the kicker: this mass exodus has left Bulgaria's villages nearly deserted. In some regions, entire communities have vanished, leaving behind ghost towns where only the elderly remain. If this trend continues, experts predict that Bulgaria's population could shrink to just 5 million by 2050. Can Bulgaria turn the tide, or is it doomed to fade away? 9. Romania, the struggle with poverty and brain drain. Romania, the land of picturesque landscapes and legendary folklore, is facing a quiet crisis. Did you know that Romania has one of the highest poverty rates in the European Union? But why, in a country so rich in resources, are so many people struggling to make ends meet? The mass exodus began after Romania joined the European Union in 2007. The answer lies in Romania's deep-rooted economic issues and a phenomenon known as brain drain. Despite its wealth of natural resources, Romania has been plagued by corruption, mismanagement, and poor infrastructure, leaving much of its population in poverty. Over 23% of Romanians live below the poverty line, and in rural areas, that figure is even higher. The situation has driven many young, educated Romanians to seek better opportunities abroad, leading to a massive brain drain. Since 1989, Romania has lost over 4 million citizens to immigration, one of the largest exoduses in modern European history. And here's something shocking: the population is aging rapidly. With a birth rate of just 1.35 children per woman, Romania's population is expected to shrink from 19 million today to just 15 million by 2050. As the young leave and the old remain, who will be left to carry Romania into the future? 8. Moldova, trapped in a vicious cycle of decline. Moldova, Europe's poorest country, is trapped in a vicious cycle of economic hardship, political instability, and mass emigration. Did you know that Moldova's population has shrunk by nearly 1/3 since 1990? But why is this small nation struggling so much to survive? The root of Moldova's decline lies in its troubled history and ongoing political turmoil. After gaining independence from the Soviet Union in 1991, Moldova has struggled to build a stable economy. Corruption, weak governance, and a lack of investment have kept Moldova one of Europe's poorest nations, with a GDP per capita of just $4,500. This economic hardship has driven over 1.5 million Moldovans to leave the country in search of better opportunities abroad. But here's the most shocking part: Moldova's birth rate is among the lowest in Europe, at just 1.23 children per woman. Combined with high immigration, Moldova's population is expected to drop from 2.6 million today to just 2 million by 2050. Can Moldova break free from this cycle, or is it destined to continue its slow decline? 7. Bosnia and Herzegovina, the lingering scars of war. Bosnia and Herzegovina, a country scarred by the brutal war of the 1990s, is still struggling to heal. Did you know that nearly half of Bosnia's population has left the country since the war? But why, decades after the conflict, is the country still losing its people? The answer lies in the deep economic and political divisions that have persisted since the war. Bosnia's economy remains weak, with unemployment rates hovering around 20%, one of the highest in Europe. Corruption is rampant, and the country's complex political system, designed to maintain peace between ethnic groups, often leads to gridlock. As a result, many Bosnians, especially the young and educated, have chosen to emigrate. Since 1995, Bosnia's population has declined from 4.4 million to just 3.2 million, a staggering loss of over 25%. And here's something truly heartbreaking. Bosnia's birth rate has plummeted to just 1.3 children per woman, well below the replacement rate. Experts predict that by 2050, Bosnia's population could shrink to just 2.5 million. Can Bosnia find a way to heal its wounds and build a brighter future, or will it continue to lose its people to the past? 6. Croatia, a nation at risk of disappearing. Croatia, with its stunning coastline and vibrant culture, is quietly fading away. Did you know that Croatia's population is shrinking faster than almost any other country in Europe? But why is this happening in a country that seems so full of life? The answer lies in Croatia's economic struggles and a rapidly aging population. Since joining the European Union in 2013, Croatia has seen a significant emigration of its young people, who are leaving in search of better jobs and higher wages elsewhere in Europe. Over 400,000 Croatians have left the country in the past decade alone. At the same time, Croatia's birth rate has fallen to just 1.4 children per woman, one of the lowest in the European Union. But here's the most shocking part. Croatia's population is expected to shrink from 4 million today to just 3 million by 2050. Entire villages are being abandoned, and the country's rural areas are slowly turning into ghost towns. Can Croatia reverse this trend, or is it on the path to becoming a country of the past? 5. Lithuania, the silent exodus. Lithuania, a country once at the heart of a vast empire, is now experiencing a silent exodus. Did you know that Lithuania has one of the highest emigration rates in the European Union? But why are so many Lithuanians leaving their homeland? The answer lies in Lithuania's economic challenges and a lack of opportunities for young people. Since gaining independence from the Soviet Union in 1990, Lithuania has seen a steady outflow of its population, with over 800,000 people leaving the country in the past 3 decades. This mass emigration has been driven by low wages, high unemployment, and limited career prospects, particularly for young people. And here's something that will surprise you. Lithuania's birth rate is just 1.55 children per woman, far below the replacement level. As a result, Lithuania's population has shrunk from 3.7 million in 1990 to just 2.8 million today, and it is projected to fall to 2.2 million by 2050. Can Lithuania find a way to keep its people at home, or will it continue to lose its future generation? 4. Ukraine, the toll of war and economic struggle. Ukraine, a country torn apart by war and economic hardship, is facing a demographic catastrophe. Did you know that Ukraine's population has plummeted by over 10 million people since the 1990s? But why is this happening in a country with such vast potential? The answer lies in the devastating impact of the conflict with Russia, which began in 2014, and the ongoing economic crisis. The war has displaced millions of Ukrainians, with over 5 million fleeing to neighboring countries. The conflict has also taken a heavy toll on Ukraine's economy, which has struggled to recover from the collapse of the Soviet Union. As a result, Ukraine's birth rate has fallen to just 1.23 children per woman, one of the lowest in the world. But here's the most shocking part. Ukraine's population, which stood at 52 million in 1991, has now fallen to just 41 million, and it is projected to drop to 35 million by 2050. Entire regions are being depopulated, and the country's future is in jeopardy. Can Ukraine overcome its challenges and rebuild, or is it on the brink of collapse? 3. Latvia, the cost of independence. Did you know that Latvia has lost nearly a quarter of its population since gaining independence from the Soviet Union in 1991? But why is the small Baltic nation facing such a dramatic decline? The answer lies in Latvia's economic difficulties and the mass emigration that followed its independence. After breaking free from Soviet rule, Latvia struggled to build a stable economy, and many Latvians chose to emigrate in search of better opportunities. Over 700,000 Latvians have left the country since 1991, leaving behind an aging and shrinking population. And here's something even more shocking. Latvia's birth rate is just 1.61 children per woman, far below the level needed to sustain the population. As a result, Latvia's population has fallen from 2.7 million in 1991 to just 1.9 million today, and is expected to shrink to 1.5 million by 2050. Can Latvia find a way to keep its people from leaving, or is it destined to become a shadow of its former self? 2. Albania, the exodus of a generation. Why is Albania, a country with such a rich history and culture, on this list? Did you know that nearly 1/3 of Albania's population has left the country since the fall of communism in 1991? But why is this happening in a country with such a vibrant past? The answer lies in Albania's ongoing economic struggles and the lack of opportunities for its young people. Despite significant progress since the end of communism, Albania remains one of the poorest countries in Europe, with a GDP per capita of just $6,000. This has led to a massive emigration of young Albanians who are seeking better lives abroad. Over 1.5 million Albanians have left the country in the past 3 decades, leaving behind an aging population and a shrinking workforce. And here's something truly alarming: Albania's birth rate is just 1.51 children per woman, far below the replacement level. As a result, Albania's population, which stood at 3.2 million in 1991, has now fallen to just 2.8 million, and it is expected to drop to 2.5 million by 2050. Can Albania reverse this trend, or will it continue to lose its future generation? 1. Serbia, the hidden crisis. Serbia tops the list as the fastest dying country in Europe. But why is this nation, with such a rich cultural heritage and history, facing such a dire future? Did you know that Serbia has one of the highest rates of population decline in the world? The answer lies in Serbia's deep economic and demographic challenges. Since the breakup of Yugoslavia in the 1990s, Serbia has struggled to build a stable economy, and many Serbians have chosen to emigrate in search of better opportunities. Over 700,000 Serbians have left the country in the past 2 decades alone. At the same time, Serbia's birth rate has fallen to just 1.48 children per woman, one of the lowest in Europe. But here's the most shocking part: Serbia's population, which stood at 7.6 million in 2000, has now fallen to just 6.7 million, and it is expected to drop to 5.5 million by 2050. Entire regions of the country are being depopulated, and the future of Serbia is in jeopardy. Can Serbia overcome these challenges and rebuild, or is it on the path to becoming a nation in decline?